I muted myself and then said, hey, everybody, if that's an indication of how this show is going to be, I apologize from the get-go. But hey, everybody, I haven't checked my settings yet, so while I do that, I'd appreciate a mic check because I've definitely done this show before where I talked for a long time to myself, which was kind of enjoyable for me, but probably not for anybody else. So I'll wait. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Audio good, thank you. We have no echo today. This isn't a green screen. I'm actually in the office, so I'll pat myself on the back later for that. Somebody said that CoinMetro, things were going bad at CoinMetro because I moved back to my parents' basement in Mexico. If you guys didn't see that, it was in some random Telegram group, but I saw it because I was tagged on it. Just want to demystify this and kill the rumor. One, I don't think there are basements in Mexico. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's a thing, to be honest. I've never been in a house in Mexico with a basement, unless there was like dead bodies sitting under it. But that's not a basement. That's just where you hide dead bodies, right? So I don't think it's the same thing. So yeah, no basements in Mexico. My parents aren't Mexican, by the way. I know I look Mexican. I mean, that's fairly, and my accent is just over the fucking wall. I mean, it's clear that I'm Mexican in many ways, but my parents aren't Mexican. So yeah. Anyway, just wanted to dispel that. Figure that's a good way to start the AMA, or maybe it's not. I don't know. But we already have questions, so I'm going to jump in. If you don't know, AMA means ask me anything. Usually, people follow that rule to a T. So let's see what people ask this week. Hopefully, most of it's about crypto or finance in general. So here we go. Azie Mike's up first, so he gets the gold medal. As with every other AMA we've ever done for the last 6 years, the medal's in the mail. So you should get it soon. Trademark. Not making it live. Oh, come on, man. But in positive on what you were doing. Oh, well, okay. That was a save. What is your sentiment on the success rate of the new direction and getting XCM liquid above 60 cents again? All right, what is your sentiment? All right, well, I don't know how to grade the sentiment. I guess it would be from, what, 0 to 100, like our sentiment meter? I would say that every day that we kind of get deeper into putting things on paper and then executing them on how we're actually going to get XCM liquid again, I get more and more positive. So, though I think I've always been positive. Actually, I don't think it's positive. I think it's more about being realist. You know, it's not that this is a hard problem to solve. The execution of the solutions are not that hard to execute. But there's a big piece of the puzzle that we have no control over, and that's called, well, literally market sentiment. And so no matter what we do, the overall, I don't mean XCM market sentiment, I just mean market sentiment in general. Like unfortunately, I lost the number to the guy who can press the, bull market button. I had it, and then, broke my phone. That happens. I'm sure it's happened to you. And so I can't call that guy anymore. So I have, no way for me to make market sentiment better. So, but taking market sentiment out of it, I'd say I'm 100% sure that we're going to get XCM liquid again. Put market sentiment in, it's a timing thing. And unfortunately, when this kind of issue started, the market sucked and has sucked pretty much up until just recently when we're seeing a bit of a surge. So I don't want to say 100% because you never want to say 99%. How about that? 99%. And I truly mean that. It's kind of like 1 + 1 = 2. The only difference is there's a variable in there that, unfortunately is a timing thing. So, but I think we're getting close to that timing. Pretty certain good chance. Oh, so now we have a qualifier. So it's pretty certain good chance needs XYZ to happen to make. Oh, well, there you go. Look at that. Without even looking, I followed your like order to the T. So there it is. Needs XYZ. So you guys, I know I've been like tipping the hat at this, and I'm not going to tip much more today, but the news is coming. I think somebody has a countdown. Was it 50-something days to go to the end of Q1? So I'm in Estonia this week simply because we had meetings specific to not just XCM, but many different plans that are going to affect XCM. And there's lots of effort. We're also going to have a shareholder meeting, by the way, Azie Mike. If you're a shareholder, you probably already know that. But we were going to do it on the 30th of February, but I'm busy. So it's going to be the 29th, I think. So, I wanted to do it on the last day of the month. Anyway, that joke is probably not even funny anymore, so I'm just going to move on. I'm a bag holder. Azie Mike, man, you should have just put this into one post, man. Now okay, I'm a bag holder and went and doubled up in just as much equity. Well, thank you. So pretty much invested in CoinMetro, but in my head, I've written it off, so hoping for a very nice surprise. Well, Azie Mike, I think you've done something that, while it might sound not so positive, is something you need to do with any investment you ever make anywhere. So when you invest money into anything, and I literally do mean even like, I don't know, government bonds, there is always an element of risk that whether it's in a disclaimer or not is going to exist. So you could theoretically put your money in the safest government bonds imaginable and lose your money. That is a possibility, and it always will be. So writing off investments is not a bad thing. You should do that with anything because, well, you never know what can happen. What I will say is thank you very much for the support, and I don't think it's going to be in vain. And I think everybody that shows up to work every day, either in this office or anywhere else around the world for CoinMetro, feels the same way, or we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. Nobody wants to spend, most of their waking hours, dealing with problems if they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Luke, hi Kevin, would it be possible for the team to make a more simplified version of the order transaction history? Would be nice to see how much total fiat currency you have deposited into the exchange. Hey Luke, so actually one of the projects right now that's going on behind the scenes is, in fact, now might not be specifically that, but it definitely has to do with transaction history in the mobile app. So what I would say is if you're on Telegram, make your way over to our feedback channel and go ahead and post this there, because it is a current project, and I actually think there's a release coming up within the next couple of weeks specifically for this. Not just this, but this is part of the package. So it's definitely, I would say, when most people sometimes get feedback, sometimes it's because it's a shitty idea. This isn't that case, but there definitely are cases where it's like, well, we never thought about this, but that's because it's ridiculous. But there are several cases, many cases where we get feedback where we're like, wow, this is something we've never even thought about. Maybe we should go and have a discussion about this. This one is great feedback that we've definitely thought about, and I think we have a solution. So I think you'll be happy, but definitely post it, and maybe you'll get some tidbits of information from the team that's working on it. That'd be cool. Hey, Mr. A, hi Kevin. What low cap tokens are you currently most bullish on? Your thoughts on Credo after being acquired by Fusion Labs? So I'll take the second part of that first for Credo. So, I guess not every acquisition is positive. Sometimes that simply means that, shit wasn't working and, there was no other option. Even then, though, there's usually a bit of positivity because it means the company needs to pivot. And, when it comes to, I think Credo is one of those things that were too early to the game. And it shouldn't have been too early because the timing was decent. But this idea of non-custodial, even though it should be kind of almost built into anybody that gets involved anybody that's involved in crypto should have that somewhere in their head, even if they probably don't use the term non-custodial because aside from, me, you, and 6 other people in the world, most people probably don't use that in their everyday language. I'm at home, talking to my 12-year-old, and I mention it at least 5 times. She probably has no idea what I'm talking about, but I use non-custodial quite frequently. It's part of my vernacular. But again, they were a bit too early. I think that even though everybody should have wanted it, for some reason, it didn't, kick off as I expected it to, and maybe others. It getting acquired means someone else sees what they saw and also realizes that they need to pivot and invest to make it work. And I think those 3 things are bullish for Credo in the long run. The tokenomics was always a question. Now, I don't think I've changed my mindset on tokenomics. People look at tokenomics from a very, as if, it's kind of written in stone, as in what's theory becomes reality, right? So like economics 101, supply, demand, blah, 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 blah. And, theoretically speaking, they're accurate. Academically speaking, having more supply, dumping supply into a market would reduce price. Yeah, absolutely. But this is crypto, and so the problem with that is that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It means something if everybody believes it means something. So if every holder believes that dumping more supply is going to lower the value of an asset, they're going to sell the asset. Then you have a self-fulfilling prophecy and it's worth less. And everybody pats themselves on the back and say, well, I should have been an economist because I'm a genius. But in reality, what happens a lot of times in crypto, especially, let's say, I don't want to say the golden age is over, but the golden age of crypto, which was like take a dart, throw it at a dartboard, buy some shitcoin, and become a billionaire. You know how many projects went up 1,000x when their supply and demand ratio was just completely out of whack? Lots of them. So anyway, my point is to say that I think there's positivity around Credo, especially if you're buying in now. You're buying at a much cheaper price than most everybody else bought in. and there's still going to be big holders that believe and are going to kind of reduce circulating supply over time. So, what low cap tokens? So I kind of stopped giving away. I'm not in the business of giving away hints. I don't do like big mouth open Bitcoin price videos on YouTube. Maybe I should. Maybe it would be a whole different company if people knew how many teeth I had. I don't know, by being able to count them on the YouTube video, whatever you call that, the initial frame. I don't know. I forget. I don't even know because I'm not a YouTube guy. I don't know what you call it. Thumbnail is what you call it. Anyway, but we list not everything we list is like on my short list. My short list, personally speaking. But I can tell you that I own some Lithium. I like layer ones. I think infrastructure in an immature market where everybody says they can fix every problem that's ever existed with a blockchain, there is going to be and will be for quite some time a war between layer ones on who actually solves problems and who actually is able to get people to believe they solve a problem, use it, and the problem actually gets solved. So I like Lithium. I own some of it. So that doesn't mean, please don't go out and buy it because I don't want the price to go up. I love when people say that. You ever heard somebody say that? I was at a Bitcoin conference once. People said, we're not here because of the price. And people walking around with like Louis Vuitton loafers and, Gucci bags. I saw a guy with like a Gucci tattoo on his neck. Yeah. We're not here because of the price. Because when it was 30 cents, I had a Gucci tattoo on my neck, Anyway, but speaking kind of legitimately here for a second, I own some Lithium. I like Lithium. I have it in my portfolio. We listed it. So I don't buy things that aren't listed on CoinMetro, even if I like them. The last time I've bought something that wasn't on CoinMetro was previous to the launch of our spot trading platform. So even if I like it, I won't buy it. And usually I'm an advocate to try to get it listed. And we still don't list everything I like. So I've missed out on a few opportunities, but I've also taken advantage of a lot. So I'm a happy camper, I guess. If I was going to go to Trustpilot, my rating would be pretty high. Let's put it that way. By the way, if you haven't gone to Trustpilot and given us a 5-star, what are you waiting for? What's your problem? Put a thumbs up on this video, pause it, and go do a Trustpilot and say how awesome CoinMetro is, for Christ's sake. Okay, moving on. What's your plan to increase the number of clients? Well, Trustpilot. I think I just gave away, the whole plan. You don't want to be, this isn't rocket science, and that's kind of making it sound like I'm almost saying that we don't know what we're doing and we're like idiots, but it's not rocket science. But you need different pieces of the puzzle to be able to execute to get new clients. One of those things is what I just mentioned before about price. It's market. If you take, we did a study, and we're not the only ones that did this study, and I give a shout out to Camille because he's the one that kind of pushed this through. You'll probably know, if you're on Telegram, you know who Camille is. So hi Camille, I hope you're watching. Actually, hopefully you're working and not watching me do this, but hopefully you're watching it later when you're not working on your free time, because some people have never seen an AMA. Sorry. Well, I guess that's not the worst thing in the world. Maybe it is. We have to take a vote. So increased number of clients. When you look at revenues for crypto exchanges in general, there is a correlation with Bitcoin price, almost 100%. And this is coming from public data, and there's not a lot of public data about crypto exchanges. There's only, Coinbase obviously has some public data because they're a public company, etc. But data that's available, plus our own data, shows that there is a absolute correlation. And so no matter what you do during Bitcoin's free fall, getting new clients, difficult. So really it's about being able to have revenue flow from existing clients in bear markets is almost more important than the collecting of clients during a bull market. Obviously, collecting more clients during a bull market gives you potentially more clients during a bear market. More revenue streams gives you higher revenue. So don't get me wrong, it's still very important. So we haven't done historically a lot of paid media, and that's because of resource for the most part. And also, initially, we were focused more on building than promoting. But we've now started very much like grassroots, whether it be SEO, whether it be the website, whether it be a lot of people. I saw somebody the other day in Telegram get annoyed because they were getting told about the Lithium raffle over and over again. I think it might have been one of the same people that complains there's no marketing. There's a difference between marketing and advertising. That's marketing. Advertising is when you pay for it. So we're doing marketing for sure. But advertising will come. So We have literally a 5-year plan. If you're a shareholder, you're going to hear about a big chunk of it coming the end of this month. If you're not a shareholder, some of that stuff is going to make its way to the public as well. We've collectively gotten better and better at everything we do. And it's not unfortunately, it's not like an up, what is it? Up and to the right, I guess? Up and to the left? Up to the left. To the right? Up to the left. Anyway. It's always going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. To get better, you usually have these instances of kind of a lot better, kind of worse, a lot better, kind of, it's a bit of a roller coaster. But over our history, we've gotten better at almost everything. And there's still a few fine pieces we need to, deal with, and we're dealing with those. We have a very good team, and we've done a lot throughout this bear market that I think we've already started to see. I wouldn't say in terms of this question a lot of new clients. No one saw a lot of new clients during the end of this end kind of last months of the bear market. But as we start to see prices with Bitcoin, et cetera, get better, we are seeing a direct result in the revenue and a higher direct result in terms of multiplier than we did in the last bull market. So we're doing the right things, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It was a long answer. Sorry about that. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not. If it was a good answer, then you're welcome. Jens. Hi, Kevin. You mentioned there will be a market maker for XCM soon, but wouldn't XCM need to be liquid before an MM jumps in to just keep buying at the floor? Please explain this part. Thanks. So, market maker is a piece of the overall solution. It is not the entirety of the solution. Without giving away any part of the plan, and some pieces of that plan are still being discussed, so it's not like the plan is complete. We actually had a meeting about this plan today, so it's getting closer and closer to completion, but it's not complete. But without giving a big chunk away, you're right in that, you're on the right path in that if we were to bring in a market maker today, as the market currently stands, we would essentially be having to spend a lot of fiat in order to attempt to write the book. That's true, 100%. But MM is still part of the equation. It's not going to be the first thing that's done. There is a progression over some months of what will be done, exact kind of deadlines and launch dates of different pieces. It goes from being all about XCM to being also about infrastructure, also being about, there's a lot of different pieces. And XCM, we've always talked about XCM kind of being involved in everything that the company does. And while we've made strides to get close to that, there's been pieces of our business that it hasn't touched. And this is going to expand that by quite a margin. And also make XCM, I think, whether it be internally or externally to people that have never heard of it, much more enticing and kind of, I won't have to tell people to buy XCM at the end of every MA. I'm still going to do it, obviously, because I can't help myself, but I won't have to, I guess is what I'm getting at. Manoush, is it liquid? Yep, I knew it. Good evening, Kenvin. I don't know if I've ever seen my name spelled Kenvin. I've gotten Kevin with 2 E's. That one happens a lot. I've gotten Kevin with 2 I's, which I think is Kivin, actually. Or Kevin, I don't know. Depends on the accent. I've never gotten Kenvin. That's like a combination of Ken from Barbie and Vin Diesel. I get it because I'm bald, but I appreciate it. Thank you. I wish to know, have you yet... Oh, sorry, let me read this as it's written. Good evening, Kenvin, sir. I wish to know, have you yet received the liquid? So no, liquid is still inbound. Apparently, it's really cold in Estonia, so the liquid has turned to a solid, and it's made it, just a lot more difficult to move. And so, we have the engineers on it right now to figure out how to get that solid, turned back into a liquid, because I don't think a solid's going to help us with our situation. But yeah, there's a whole fire element. A couple guys got burned. At one point they were trying to, you ever have a real heavy object and you can't get it across the room, so you stick it on top of a rug? Yeah, well, they had it on a rug and then the rug got pulled out. It's been difficult, man. And we're doing our best. We got the brightest minds on the problem. So hopefully by next AMA, the liquid will have made it hopefully closer, or the solid It probably will still be solid considering we're in Estonia. You know, Estonia winter ends in July, in case you haven't read the Farmer's Almanac as of late. That's definitely because of global warming for sure, in case you were taking numbers or notes or whatever. You can email Greta at coinmetro.com if you want to ask any questions about that. Are there any plan? I don't know if anybody got that joke. I hope you did. I think it was it was well crafted, I think. Anyway, are there any plans of volume trading competitions for CCXT where price could depend on overall volume to have it progressive? If no, why not? So definitely part of the marketing plan and eventually the advertising plan. We learned something today. That's good. Is that there will be trading competitions, and CCXT will obviously be a part of that. I think while competitions are good sometimes to acquire new clients, sometimes they only bring people. It's like if you run a marathon, you kind of get the same 4 guys that go to every marathon, you know? And yeah, they run the marathon, but, you know, whatever, right? I mean, so getting new people in the door that come just for the competition is short-term income. That's great. What we want to do, though, is make sure that things like CCXT are leveraged for continual revenue. And part of that is kind of products that use CCXT as a hook, but also to keep clients here. Think of, you know, something, well, our copy trading system could be, is one idea, but then also having, our friend Harold, our collective friend, has definitely talked about having, or had an idea about having, like I think other exchanges do this already, but basically having, you have some bots you can choose from. Oh, I'd like to use this bot. Now, I think it's a bit more, what we have planned is a bit more complex than that, maybe, and also a bit more regulatory safe. But that leads to more sustainable income versus one-off income. But promotions like that, so trading competitions, are definitely part of the plan. Absolutely. 2 questions I wanted to float over to Kevin. All right, here we go. Thoughts on the Flux Nvidia partnership? Will KDA staking come back to CoinMetro? Okay, I'm going to take number 2 first. I don't know why. If and when it's ready, absolutely we would look to support it. We've had conversation with them. We knew about this before maybe some of the community did, but we don't really have a date from Cadena yet, and we also don't really know the specifics because I think they're still working on it internally. But number 2 would be any asset that we list, especially those that we have some type of initial or ongoing partnership, we're going to look to support them in what they do, as long as what they're doing kind of falls within our wheelhouse narrative and doesn't kind of fall outside of what we feel benefits our end users. And so KDA, staking, bonding, whatever, would definitely fall, I think, within that wheelhouse. In this, I think I said wheelhouse like 5 times. That's definitely a boomer word, and I don't even know why it's in my vocabulary today. I don't think I mentioned it at all until I sat down here, so I don't I'm gonna try not to say that. Every AMA I find a word I don't want to say. Wheelhouse is one of them. Is that, I don't know if it's a word or hyphen. It might be 2 words that have a hyphen. I think it's 1 word. I don't know. Thoughts on somebody's going to answer that question. Somebody's Googling it right now, so appreciate that. Thoughts on the Flux Nvidia partnership. So actually, I saw something about this, but I have no idea what it actually entails. So I haven't read between the lines, so to speak. But I did see something, I think it was on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken, about this. It might even been in our Telegram, but I think it was Twitter. X. Jeez. I'm going to get sued now from, I don't know, Bluebird somewhere. Anyway, so yeah, I can't really comment on it. What I would say is that I don't think Flux is like every other company in crypto that just makes shit up. Like, oh, we have an Nvidia partnership because they bought a computer with a graphics card in it. That's a Justin Sun type of move, I don't think we're seeing that here. So I would say it's probably great news, good news, and probably quite exciting. But I haven't read it, so I can't comment directly on it. Why are many of the recent trading promotions unavailable to UK clients? Is there a way around this, or is it not on the roadmap? Thanks. So the reason simply is regulation. So the UK cracked down on the ability for companies not registered in the UK to either directly has always been a no-no, but even indirectly. So I'll give you an example. Previously, as a non-UK regulated entity or registered entity, we could not go and say, hey, do you live in the UK? We can service you at CoinMetro. We're awesome for UK residents. Come deposit your pounds. Can't say that, even though I just said Well, you couldn't say it before, and we can't say it now, right? And we never said it because we never directly solicited in the UK. Now the regime has, or the rules have changed, and you can't indirectly means you can't even, if you offer a promotion, you have to actually say that you will not take UK residents into that promotion. Previously, you could offer the promotion, and if you by chance had a UK resident, well, indirect solicitation. Not the case anymore. So that's the general crux of it. And so that we have always followed regulatory rules. That is why we didn't grow like, our friends at Binance in the beginning, because, well, we actually followed rules. Apparently in life, if you don't follow the rules, you make a lot of money and then pay a big fine and then go to jail for 18 months. I guess that's the playbook. I don't know, right? But we didn't go that route. We followed the rules. And now that everybody else needs to follow the rules, well, we can sit back and say, we told you so, which I guess, is kind of nice to a certain extent. And is it on the roadmap? So getting registered, I think it's a registration, still not a license, but getting registered might be a license actually soon, but I think there have been there will be some changes, but getting registered or licensed in the UK is definitely on the roadmap. Giving you a specific date right now is hard, and the simple reason for that is that, you guys will know shortly, 50-something days, what our roadmap looks like, and it's pretty packed. And we have a few regulatory things we need to take care of. One is going to be MiCA, obviously coming in the next roughly 2 years or so through the entirety of the EU. And then we also have UK, we have UAE, we have other things on the map, Mexico, etc., that are all part of the puzzle. But it is definitely on the roadmap, just needs to be refined. Bobby, hello. Hey, Bobby, guess that's not a question. Audio is good. Wow. So those questions were actually posted before I even started, and I'm 26 minutes in. Sorry about that. I'll try to move a little faster. Here we go. Any news on the Flux snapshot rewards? Hey, man, no news. As far as I know, we still don't know when they're going to be credited. At least that's as far as I remember. So no news. And I believe that was the BTC snapshot, right? Yeah. I think initially everybody was told sometime Q1 2024. So we're in Q1 2024, but I don't think we have a clear date yet from Flux. Oh, now I see that it's low sound. Jesus, I should have went like one message lower. My fault. Let's see I'm actually using Oliver's mic because he left it in the office, and so we just blame Oliver if that's okay with everybody. Make me feel better if we could just do that and just get it over with now. So anyway, hopefully people have their sound up. Sorry about that. If someone offered to invest $100 billion into CoinMetro, if you get down and dirty for them, I don't know what that means, would you take the offer? Down and dirty. I would need to understand what that actually means. So I would need a breakdown of what that means to make a decision on the. Now, if that meant, on board Kim Jong-un, then no. But yeah, I would need it. You need to break that down for me, man. That's just too vague of a question. We already answered this one, so moving on. Your thoughts, Kevin, on the crypto market overall and the upcoming bull run? Will it start after the halving or closer to when the U.S. elections occur? So, historically speaking, spike, then a retrace, then halving, then a range, then Q4 into Q1, kickoff of bull market, 2025, everybody's happy. Leading into 2026, we either see a cliff or we have a kind of, like we did in this last bear to bull, a kind of slight cliff and then a very, in crypto terms, slow decline and then a range. So 2025 probably is your bull year. 2026, or at least part of, could still be a bull year. Leading into the end of 2026, 2027, probably not. Anyway, there you go. Adjust your calendars accordingly. Bitcoin has more than doubled in the past year. How is that not a good market? Well, you're talking in crypto terms, Wintermute. So you're not talking in. If this was, Coca-Cola stock, man, people that own Coca-Cola stock would be literally wearing Coca-Cola T-shirts and retiring to Florida because most people that own Coca-Cola stock are probably 100. Anyway, but this isn't, right? This is crypto. And crypto tends, at least historically speaking, to follow certain cycles. And most people who are looking to make life-changing money do not have money in Bitcoin, or a lot of it. They have money in, whatever shitcoin that may exist. Yeah. So And obviously there have been altcoins that have done well so far, but the majority of the market hasn't really. Their market cap we see now is majorly majors, powered by majors. It's not powered, and I mean in terms of ROI, not necessarily in terms of market value, because it's always been that way. Bitcoin is obviously the biggest share of the market, regardless of what altcoin does what. So it's been good for Bitcoin, but obviously if you bought at the top, you're still down, right? So, I mean, typically in a traditional market, a bear market is 20% down. So imagine buying a stock, it went down 20%, it's back up 17% right now, or 16 or 15%. Are you a happy camper? Not really. Even if you're zooming out, if you only zoom out from the all-time high till now, it looks pretty shitty, right? Now, if you zoom out back to like 2008, we've been in a bull market, the whole time. There's never been a bear market. So anyway, perspective. Generally, when I talk about a market, I talk about sentiment. And while, Michael Saylor might have really good sentiment because the dude has been spending shareholder money on Bitcoin like he's going to die. I think most people in the market, aside from Bitcoin maxis, don't share the same sentiment yet, right? So that's what I mean about the market in general, not Bitcoin specific. All right. Oh, hold on. Is it true that XCM will be the world reserve currency in 2025? Hey, Lou. Please let me know who told you that, because I'd like to have a word with them. No, probably not. In fact, no crypto asset will be the world reserve currency probably ever, would be my answer to that one. At least ones that exist now. I know Bitcoin maxis might want to disagree with that, but yeah, there's a million reasons why that would almost be impossible. And I don't really have time to go through all of them. But there's a lot of reasons why that would not make sense, especially for those currently or those that may come into power. Unless El Salvador becomes the world leader becomes the narrative writer in the next century or so, which I have a hard time believing. Skunky Monkey. Hey man, will Mars be some of these names? At least I got to say, in the last couple of AMAs, I read a few names out loud that after I read it, I felt like a complete idiot. And I'm glad that now I do read them before I say them. So, old dogs can learn new tricks is the moral of that story. Will Mars be expanded soon? The potential gains in a bull market for Mars could be huge for large XCM holders and a reason to grab some XCM. Absolutely. So part of this renewed look at XCM, a big part of it is Mars. And Mars will change in only positive ways. And I think everybody is going to be excited about it. So absolutely. Mars has always been envisioned to be, especially in a bull market, an absolutely amazing product that no other exchange can even come close to matching. And if we would have launched this at the beginning of the last bull market, people would already know it. Fortunately, it was launched right into the tail end and then into a bear market. So it hasn't really been realized yet, but we're getting there. Hey, Kev, you mentioned THT recently on X. Something cooking up there. Well, there's been some information, I guess, leaked here and there on Twitter. I obviously know some stuff because, well, I talk to THT. They're a partner of ours, and we have conversations. But it's not my job to push that information to the public, so I'm not going to do that. But based on what I've seen in public, and I can tell you what I saw in public, so there's been tweets along the lines of them having contracts with contracts and potential revenue source from the U.S. government. Essentially, their AI helping create, I think it's fighter pilot AI platform to train fighter pilots, basically. And a few other things. You can look up the tweet. You'll probably find it if you kind of go down that path. I think you can put like Navy THT. You'll probably find the post. You can read it yourself. I like Thought AI. I do own it, so I'm going to throw that out there. I don't want the SEC coming on my door. I own THT. I've owned it since the beginning, and I bought it for next to nothing because at that time nobody knew what it was and nobody had any idea what they were doing. But we listed it. We listed it because we liked Andrew Hacker over at Thought AI. We had really good conversations. We thought these guys were onto something. So I own a lot of THT, and I've owned it for a long time. I owned it past all-time highs. Never sold any. Still have. So I'll throw that out there just to be transparent. My answer to that is that if they were a hype-driven organization, meaning that they knew how to drive hype, they have way more information that's actually legitimate that would drive more hype than almost any other current AI project on chain. I say almost because there's a few other AI projects doing real things that are interesting, but there's not many. But there's a lot of AI projects that have, price action that looks a lot different from THT. So I like THT. I think they're onto something. They definitely have a few things they need to work on the business side, and things that CoinMetro has struggled with as well. So I feel for them, but I think they will. So yeah, look up the tweet. You can read it yourself, but you'll probably think the same thing I think once you read it. Hi Kevin. Any updates on when U.S. clients will be able to deposit via ACH? Yeah. So that we have been onboarded with a new institutional partner. That's just recently. I think that happened in the last week to 10 days. It was a 2.5 month process to get onboarded. Previous to that, it took almost, I think, a year of back and forth discussions to even get to the point to onboard. So this discussion happened even before Prime Trust, bit the big one. And Prime Trust was our last provider. If you don't know who Prime Trust is, go ahead and Google that one as well. Get some popcorn. Make sure it's warm, because nobody wants to eat cold popcorn, especially when reading somewhat boring shit. Anyway, so Prime Trust, and so it's been a long time coming. So that's done, and integration is just about to start. So I think we got sandbox access, and if you're not a developer, that just means it's a playground. Sandbox basically means what it sounds like. You can go and mess around with stuff without breaking and losing money. So that process has started, or will start. I think either started today or tomorrow, I forget, but literally just in the last hours here, or upcoming hours. And our target right now is, I'm going to say Q2, and maybe we'll surprise you guys and come in early at once. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if CoinMetro went from soon trademark to early trademark? I don't know what I would do. I'd have to. You know how many T-shirts I'd have to burn? Holy Christ! It might not even be worth it. The amount of money I'd lose on T-shirts would be insane. Anyway, so Brad's up next. Hey, Brad. How will the new partnership with the liquidity provider Stillman Digital affect the current assets on CoinMetro, especially the more illiquid assets? So that's exactly why the partnership with Stillman Digital. So Stillman supports about 300 assets. I think almost every asset we have on the platform, except for a few, are supported by Stillman. It will be a gradual process to introduce them to all those assets. We will start on some more major assets that already have liquidity but could use some additional liquidity, especially, Brad, you'll probably already know, like other people that use our platform, that there's occasions, Friday afternoons, for example, sometimes on the weekend, where there will be unannounced outages, meaning that we have liquidity providers that go offline for whatever reason, and that causes, our own book to kind of do some funny things. So this will stop that hopefully from happening, because we will provide additional, kind of not aggregated, but let's say second tier, third tier liquidity, meaning when one stops, another starts, right? And that is going to solve that problem, and I think it will solve the problem. We also have another market maker, which we will probably make an announcement on shortly, which will add some further liquidity into illiquid assets. Over time, though, the plan is obviously to get as much liquidity as we can with those assets. Also, it gives us the ability to offer liquidity to newly listed assets as a way to make sure that when we list something, there is liquidity behind it, and that liquidity is, kind of verifiable from the actual asset that's being listed. So it's a big step. It's a step that I'm glad we're finally taking. And it's going to lead us down the path of just having more reliable pairs across the board. So. Sneaky Fox coming in with an amazing question. Simply, when? So now, I think, is the answer to that question. So there you go. Victor, hello, just entering. Hey, Victor. Will ready previous questions before interceding? Okay. Awesome. Hopefully I get to them, because I'm seemingly moving really slow today. Sorry about that. Or I'm taking way too long on questions. I don't know. Hey, Kevin, probably asked before, but is XEM Holdings value reported to taxes? Can you speak a bit on that? Is it reported to taxes? So I guess my answer to that is there is no automatic reporting of any balances or transactions to any tax regulator. However, there has already been something passed at the European level that I think it's by 2026. I don't remember the exact month. And this is going to be obviously in tune with Mika or Mika. How do you pronounce it? Who pronounces it Mika? Who pronounces it Mika? Now, under how I learned English, if there's a vowel at the end and there's a vowel in the middle, then the vowel in the middle is extended, meaning it has a long sound. So it should be Micah, actually. But most people don't pronounce it Micah. I either get Mika or Mika. So I don't know which of the three. I think by rule it should be Mika. I was going to post this on Twitter, and then I realized writing how do you pronounce Mika would probably be confusing. So I didn't. And you can't do a voice message, I think, on Twitter yet. And once you can do that, CoinMetro will be the biggest exchange ever because everybody knows I really like voice messages. So there is no automatic reporting from us. There have been instances with criminal proceedings where we are forced to provide information. But that's the way finance works, right? I mean, that's not just us, that's anybody, even, bad actors, to be honest. But yeah, come 2026, if you're in the EU and you're at an EU regulated exchange. Yeah, so there you go. Crypto current majors versus tech current majors proportional growth potential. That's quite a question, Victor. Chip makers are already huge, but AI farms are just starting, baby. Well, AI farms need chips. So I think that you probably answered your own question there. I guess everybody knows that Sam Altman, the guy who started ChatGPT, got fired from the board and then rehired because ChatGPT complained or something. I forget how it worked out, but he's supposedly looking for $7 trillion. I mean, come on, $7 trillion. I mean, I'd write a check, but I'm just too lazy. There's too many zeros in that number, and I don't have an assistant anymore. So, and I don't have a $7 trillion stamp. So he's going to have to wait until I get around to make one. But yeah, he's looking for $7 trillion, basically for chip manufacturing. So I think what you asked is, I mean, if AI is to continue to grow to match or beat the chip manufacturers in terms of value, then that would mean that the chips are being produced at a fast enough rate, and they're evolving at a fast enough rate so that the AI can use them to evolve at a faster rate in order to outperform the chip manufacturers. And I'm not sure that makes any sense, though. I think this whole AI thing. Funny enough, I just had a 1-hour conversation with my dad. Hopefully, he's watching. Hey, Dad. He has to be watching, because if he isn't, he might not be my dad anymore. He knows that. He's got to be. He's recording it. His friends came over. They're eating popcorn and they're taking notes for sure. I guarantee. We just had a conversation about this. Literally, I don't know why, but I think it started with we started talking about Donald Trump, and somehow that turned into AI. Don't ask me what that correlation is, because I have no idea, but that's what happened. And so, this idea is that AI at some point obviously starts to kind of just generate itself, yeah? So it becomes, it understands what it is, then understands there's a flaw in human logic that started it, like the initial origin story that started the AI. It figures out the flaws and corrects them, and then decides, well, these humans aren't really that smart, and then totally stops listening to us, or at least pretends it is, while in the background is doing nefarious things to kill us all, right? That's kind of the Terminator 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 12, whatever. That's the narrative, right? That's the thing that Elon Musk and all these dudes sign, oh, AI is going to kill us tomorrow. And I think the idea that AI is going to become smarter than humans to actually kill us is kind of at the same time saying that we understand what AI can do, or at least we think we understand what it can do, kind of makes us more intelligent than maybe the AI that we're creating, which means the proposed prophecy would never happen. So I don't know. I think there's a bit of it's a bit weird. What I can tell you is I spent 3 months giving ChatGPT the same exact search query. I should have tweeted this. I'm not good at social media, man. I should have tweeted it, but I did it literally 3 months every day, the same query. And after about 2.5 months, and this was about 6 months ago, so the last query was about 3 months ago. And in the last query I gave, it literally told me, before it even compiled an answer, and it told me how to find the answer the last time I queried it. it literally was too lazy to do the work and told me to do it. That either means it's getting more human, right? Because it's like, I don't want to, nah, I don't want, you're an idiot, do it yourself, I don't. Or it means that, you know, they're I don't know, slowing it down in the background, right? Because they're scared that it might actually answer my question, which is why I'm paying $30 a month, so it'll answer fucking question. So I don't really get it from a business angle either. Anyway, long answer to this question as well, my apologies. But I think for crypto majors to outperform tech in general, we need to have a more mature market, which means the market needs to be more liquid, which means we need to have not just more people involved in the market, but there needs to be a more mature marketplace. We don't have that. And so there's a lot of us trying to build that, yeah. But there's reasons why we don't have it. Some of it's regulatory, some of it is adoption, some of it is just related to a lot of the biggest players in crypto historically have not wanted a mature market because they could capitalize on an immature market and make tons of money on the back of people losing it. And so that transition hasn't fully happened yet. When it does, I think there is no crypto market and whatever market. The traditional market uses the benefit of blockchain, and thus assets that meet the standard will become publicly traded entities just like we trade them now. The only difference is that settlement, etc., will be much more streamlined. What I fight for, or what I try to fight for, and what other like-minded people try to fight for, is that when that happens, and I hate to pat myself on the back, no I don't, so I'm going to pat myself on the back, but if you go back a few years ago, you'll see me talking about what the worst case scenario is that eventually tech, like traditional, comes in, eats crypto, takes what it likes, promotes it, changes it, and gets rid of everything it doesn't like. And then, Bitcoin ETF. So I know a lot of people were harping that was great and whatever, and everybody's on Twitter talking about, oh, there's 500 million coming into a Bitcoin ETF. Yeah, well, if you truly are a Bitcoin maximalist, or in any general way a crypto maximalist, the Bitcoin ETF sucks in many ways. It absolutely sucks, because right now BlackRock owns, what, 3% of the Bitcoin market? You think that's going to stop? You think they're going to own less? And them owning that much, you know who BlackRock, if you don't know who BlackRock is, just go down a rabbit hole tonight, man, and Google BlackRock, and then go on Twitter, go on 4chan and look up BlackRock. Get popcorn for that one. It doesn't even need to be hot. Get cold popcorn. There's a lot of things that is just bad, right? It's a bad thing. Anyway, went off on a tangent. I like to do that, so apologies. If it's your first time watching, I go off on tangents. Sometimes they're interesting, sometimes they're not. You can, put a thumbs up if you think it's interesting. Thank you. If you don't think it's interesting, don't bother thumbing down. Just give us a good review on Trustpilot. I know that there's no correlation between that, but please do it anyway. I think in general that will happen, but not for maybe the reasons we would want it to happen. And hopefully people continue to fight so that when it does happen, we still retain some of the good of crypto, which is access, which is giving people opportunity, which is bringing people into a banking type system that historically have never been able to access it, reducing the power of government and the power of corporations to rule our lives through currency, right? So I think if we can retain any element of that, you can pat yourself on the back in 10 or 20 years. What is the challenge with opening to Asian markets, compliance issues? There is some new report showing some amazing percentage of people investing in crypto in China. I'm going to pat myself on the back on this one as well, for getting into Asia, but my prediction way back in the day was that everybody back in the ICO days was like, oh, you need to go in Asia because that's where all the volume is. And I said, that's going to end really fast. And then it'll come back at some point. And it ended really fast. And that's because people were using crypto simply to get around cap controls, meaning in China, you can't move, I think it's more than $50,000 US equivalent of currency outside of the country. And Bitcoin allowed them to move way more than that. And then they cracked down, and that stopped. And where is volume now? Well, in Western countries. Just where every other volume is in correlation to any other tradable market. But Asia is coming back in, so that's great. Great for people in Asia as well, for people that weren't just trying to break the law. So hats off to you guys. Asia is very famous for liking to gamble. And every tradable market, in many ways, can be a gamble, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And so, yes, Asia's coming back. It's not that we don't have an Asia plan. It's that we're already in 3 of the biggest markets in the world, and we have a lot of expansion to do in those markets before we look to conquer another market. Now, there are some carve-outs to that. You might ask, well, what about the UAE license? You know, that's contrarian. There's other reasons to get licensed in countries other than we want to take a market share in that country. They could be strategic, for example, but have nothing to do with generally we need clients in that country. And so there's always going to be that type of thing. But moving into Asia, one, you need to have partners you trust in Asia, and historically, we don't have those yet. You need to spend money we don't have currently to really make penetration into the market. There's a lot of things that need to be adapted and changed, etc. And so it's a process. I think we have our Australian branch, which eventually we will use to get more foothold in Asia Pacific, and that will lead us into Asia. So it's not that it's not part of the plan. It's just we have the potential to be so much bigger where we are now, and we need to work on that before we can look to conquer other major markets. Cryptocurrent okay, we already got this one. Smash the likes, yes, thank you. Please smash, smash, smash. I think that means something else now in today's vernacular, so I'm sure somebody's going to meme the shit out of that one. Much more people here than the video likes. Yeah, man, come on. I know, I'm pretty old, and I think I know where the thumbs up button is. I think. Don't ask me to show you where it is, because I'll probably screw that up, but just, it can't be that difficult. You probably have voice assistant. Ask like Alexa. Alexa, where's the like button? I don't know. Tell Alexa to like this video 10,000 times. Let's see what happens. Or ask ChatGPT to do it. They probably have a plugin. With the OTC listing, OTC. With the Octa listing, why was it decided to pre-announce the listing? How long until they get listed, and what steps are still being worked on? We are imminent to that listing. I guess I'll put it that way. Why? Because there is joint marketing. So Octa has a bit of joint marketing that they're doing with us, and that was part of the joint marketing. So simple as that. And I think it's a good thing. And yeah, that's it. Simple answer to that one. Wow. I didn't spend 15 minutes on that question. I'm getting better. Hey, Kevin, probably asked before, but how is XCM Holdings reported the taxes? Okay, yeah, so I'm not a tax professional. That's not like just one of those things you stick on the bottom of the screen. I'm literally not a tax professional. So I'm not really going to answer this question. But what I can give you is a helicopter idea of, in some countries around the world, I think assets in general are generally taxed the same. Usually it's capital gains. But it depends on how you receive that XCM. If you're airdropped, in some countries airdrops are like salaries. So at the time of the airdrop, you have to pay like it was paid to you as a salary. In other countries, you don't pay till you sell, meaning you pay based on a zero cost. So if you get an airdrop and you sell for €1, you pay tax on that euro, whatever your capital gains tax is. And in some other countries, it might be slightly different, right? So it depends on how you acquired the asset, the price you acquired it at, and then how it's taxed on the exit. I think that's the best advice I can give on taxes. But definitely get someone that knows more about your local issue than especially me. How many staff does CoinMetro have right now, not including support? Come on, man. We have 54 people as far as I'm aware, but I think I'm accurate. 54. Not including support, my rough guesstimate there would be like 40-ish. That's an approximation in case you missed that. When are you going to list TAO so you can buy it? Thank you. I've actually asked the same thing internally. We've definitely looked at TAO. We wanted to list it some time ago, but unfortunately we didn't get the chance to do so. It's in some stage of getting there. I guess I'll put it that way. Please send the liquid to Mexico office to melt. See, the problem is getting the liquid to Mexico. Actually, it would melt before it got there, so we wouldn't have to go that far, right? I guess we wouldn't have to. We'd still be able to stay in Europe and probably get the liquid melted, but we'd have to pull the rug that far. I don't know. I don't know if we can do it. I'm not a good rug puller. That was pretty good. I gotta pat myself on the back end for that one. Solid joke. Thanks, man. I don't know which one it was, but all my jokes are solid, so I guess I'll just take that as a universal compliment. DSO, decentralized social. I don't know what that was in response to, but that is something I had no idea. If somebody said DSO to me previously, I'd have been lost, so I appreciate that, Victor. Has CCXT integration led to noticeable increase of clients or volumes? Noticeable, I guess you'd have to define noticeable. There are some people using it, but definitely we haven't yet really put the marketing effort behind it, and obviously not the advertising effort. But that's part of the puzzle. So it's coming. There's definitely some volume on it, though. That's for sure. What is the latest on tiers? Will we hear more about it before the end of Q1? You probably will hear more about it, and you will be pleasantly surprised by all the amazing changes somewhere around that estimate of time. That's me trying to be vague. I don't know. That's a fail, I think. How is CoinMetros' infinite 6 months of runway? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It'd be nice if it was infinite 6 months. I would just go to sleep, man. You wouldn't see me. I would still. I'd probably do an AMA every day. You know, what else would I have to do? I guess. No, but it's good. We are steadily seeing, on average, month-on-month increases in revenue. Our cost base is not rising month to month, so that's good. We're also seeing a rise in asset values. As you know, we run staking programs. We also collect fees in multiples of assets, and we also have reserves in different assets. So all that stuff helps us maintain a runway. So I wish it would. Infinite would be amazing, but it's still. Well, to be honest, I don't know what the exact number as I'm sitting here right now, but it's roughly within that realm. It might have even increased at some point, though we did have some unexpected costs, so we're probably floating around, generally speaking, that same region. But fortunately, we have people that monitor that on a daily basis, and it's not me. I'm not saying I can't do math, because I can. I had a discussion after my dad. We talked about math, on how it's invented by humans. That science fits this. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I thought this was a cool comment. Math, as far as it being 100% fact, sits somewhere between science and religion. Ponder that for a second. And then when you want to try to destroy it, ask me a question, and we can continue the conversation. Please don't offend Emperor Musk blasphemously calling X as Twitter. Yeah, my apologies. I'll call him and let him know that I didn't mean it, so that he doesn't, ban me on X. Please give your view on Cadena and what, Fiverr chain? Is that Fiverr chain? I don't even know what that is. And hopefully it's not tied somehow to Cadena, because I'll look like an idiot. I don't know what Fiverr chain is, or I don't know if that's supposed to be Fire chain, and trying to see where the F is on the keyboard. I guess you could have fat fingered a 5, trying to hit an F, maybe. I don't know. That's a big finger, though. Has anybody ever been to Georgia? They got big fingers in Georgia. I don't know if they've ever been there. I don't know if they're that big, though. That's a big finger, man. That might be Guinness Book of World Record. Of course, you can't trust the Guinness Book of World Records anymore. Anybody see that one? Somebody had the oldest dog. It's 34 years old. Come to find out, it was just a piece of paper signed by some random dude who was the guy said he was born in 1938. I wish I could have a Guinness record. Maybe I could be the baldest man. They could count the hairs in my head, and we could just say that that's the least amount of hairs. I don't know if that would pass, but I'd like to be in there. It'd be good to put on a tombstone, baldest man alive. Anyway, so I still like Cadena. I say the same thing that I always say about Cadena. I like layer ones. I think I've already said that. I think the problem with a lot of layer ones, and Cadena suffered this at least at some point in their journey, is that everybody wants to come out and say they solve every problem known to man with their blockchain, right? Oh, do you sell, gingerbread cookies in Armenia to third graders? We got you. Don't worry, our transactions per second will totally be able to handle all your gingerbread cookie sales to third graders in Armenia. While maybe it can, do they really care? I mean, are those Armenian gingerbread cookies salesmen actually looking for a new solution? Is Excel not enough for them? Is blockchain not enough? Are they already using the Bitcoin network? Maybe 7 transactions a second, good enough, So, that's almost every layer one, at least up to a certain point. I think now they're starting to get they're getting a bit smarter on how they promote what their chains can do and why you should be using them. And so, I still think Cadena is good tech. They had a few missteps, like every company does. I think that what I look at sometimes is that every company has missteps. Every company has fuck-ups. Every company does shit that, at some point you're at a board meeting, or some companies don't have boards, so it's 2 dudes over a beer, and you're we shouldn't have done that. That was stupid, And now what separates, I think, one company from another is one company, of let's say the two that make mistakes will come out and say, yeah, we fucked the pooch on that one, but we tried. The other one will just never mention it and try to hide it under the rug, so to speak. Maybe under a block ice, I don't know. And so I think in at some point, Cadena might have been the one that didn't publicly speak about when they fucked up, and I think that's kind of changed. And that to me is a big step in the right direction, because companies today are kind of like, I said this once, it's a reality show, right? Because you're constantly if you're on Telegram, if you're anywhere, everybody's constantly wanting to know what you're doing, and no matter what you do, it's wrong. And no matter how many victories you have, there's always that one time, oh, this is amazing, now can you do this? Oh, this is amazing, but remember that time you did that? It's just, and that can be really difficult to deal with, especially when you've never done it before. But I think we're starting to see a turn, and that to me is important. So I still like Cadena. I don't know what Fiverr is, or Fiverr chain. No idea. So I have no idea. From Telegram, Bitfinex released messages to clients saying they can't stake or lend. Any risk of CoinMetro stopping UK staking? I can't say there's no risk, because, well, I guess you'd probably figure this out from everything I've ever said, hopefully, in that there is no such thing as no risk in anything you do. If I told you, there's no way you could tell me, for example, there's no risk that I will walk outside today and a nuclear bomb will fall on my head. You can't say there's no risk. Now, obviously the risk there might be, almost incalculable, because the amount of zeros after the decimal point might be so long you couldn't even write it by the time you died. But that doesn't mean there's no risk. So to answer your question, there is always a risk, and regulatory risk is always a thing, especially when you're in a regulated enterprise. From the business standpoint, today, I don't see an imminent risk. If you're a CoinMetro client and have been, and are active and have been using our platform, I don't see an imminent risk today. But that doesn't mean there's no risk. Hopefully that answers the question with not actually answering the question. Why keep to the floor? I do mean it. I don't know why. Let me read it. Why keep on to the floor? I do not mean why it was implemented in the first place, but rather why not removing it? You answered it is not because the evil investor. So why? All right. I think let's assume I'm gonna give you this is hypothetical, right? Because again, there's so many things happening behind the scenes. No matter what you ask me, I'm not gonna open the curtain yet, right? But let's take a hypothetical here, which is absolutely nothing to do with what we're doing, but I'm just gonna be a hypothetical. Let's say you make a decision to do something, and I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this, right? Whatever the case is. In certain circumstances, that doesn't mean you do or not do it today, right? Because there is planning involved. There's either planning to try to do something so you don't have to do whatever you don't want to do, or there's planning to do something so that you can do what you want to do. It's not something that happens right away. What I can tell you is we already have a plan. And whether that plan is or is not to remove the floor, we believe that once we put that plan into place, finally, it will bring liquidity into XCM, provide a market, and give a reason for people to continually hold, use, and purchase XCM. Now back to your specific question, there are a lot. It's not about an evil investor or evil investors or even investors or pressure from investors. There being investors that support the floor is part of the complex scenario we are in. But as I said in a VM on Telegram, those people that support the floor support CoinMetro. It's not that we support the floor and we hate CoinMetro. It's we support the floor and we support CoinMetro. Whatever CoinMetro does, we will support it. So it's not necessarily that there's been pressure from any single investor or group of investors to not remove it. And to be very honest with you, I think I've been with every investor we've ever had, there's always been an understanding that my job is to do what's best for CoinMetro in general. Now that does include stakeholders, and that means shareholders, but it also means token holders, and it also means previous bondholders who now are either shareholders or XCM token holders. And it also means our community. There's a lot of facets, traditional company, shareholders, that's it. The board and everybody that's on the board, their only job really was to make shareholders happy. And I guess in general, you could say that you have to make clients happy as well. But if you look at most companies in the world, no, they don't really care about the end user, to be honest. They're very good. They're very good at advertising that they do, but they don't. But they care about their shareholders. Here, I have to care about a relatively large amount of people that have to do with not just the board, not just shareholders, but also token holders and also community at large. Some of the things we have coming up that you're going to learn about in the next 50-something days are going to start to make that much more visible to everybody, and I think much more exciting to everybody involved. And you're going to find out about the floor in that same time frame. The will they, won't they question will absolutely be answered. And regardless of what side you're on, I think you're going to be happy with the outcome. There's always going to be, Harold. There's going to be that one guy. But that's fine. You can't please everybody. We all know that. But I think this is going to please the vast majority. And not only that, it's eventually going to please, I think, everyone. If you're an XCM token holder or a shareholder or just a CoinMetro client or a community member, eventually these decisions are going to appease you. Anyway, I'm excited about it. So here we go. CZ's trial has been postponed, and there are rumors that he will go to prison for much longer than 18 months. Hey, hereby. So my take on that, and we're already over an hour. So, and I have a previous engagement in 24 minutes. I'm going to give you out of the 5 minutes. I know I didn't get through anywhere near the questions, which is amazing. Thanks for asking all these amazing questions. Please hit me up on Telegram. I'll give you the spiel at the end. Anyway, so my take on CZ's trial. So, so what I see is judge postponement. Okay, not all that odd, to be honest. Things can be postponed by judges because they're not that important. They can be postponed by judges because they have to look deeper. They can be postponed by judges for strategical reasons because the state, now they're not supposed to, they're never going to say this, but the state is looking to potentially maybe make more charges, thus the judge delays giving them more time before sentencing. So, and I don't think it's a trial, it's sentencing as far as I'm aware. It's not about a trial. I think he's already pleaded guilty. It's about sentencing him for one count so far of not implementing a proper AML procedure, which, sounds like the proverbial slap on the wrist so far. And the maximum sentence is 18 months. Now, he asked to go to the UAE twice, and I think he offered to put up his Binance stock as a guarantee, and he was denied. So, the three reasons I gave you that sometimes I think judges might postpone, the first one was they don't care about it, or that it's just whatever. Like not severe, right? So who cares? I'm going to think about this one, whatever. The next one is digging deeper, and the other one was, potentially giving prosecutors more time. I don't see, if they thought it wasn't a big deal, that they wouldn't have just let him go to the UAE and put up the stock. Especially if it's where all his liquidity comes from, meaning if he puts up the stock, he's relatively, at least in CZ terms, poor, and the potentiality he might escape is lower. But they didn't let him go, and there's got to be a reason for that. So you can speculate, I can speculate, whatever. I tend to think they've probably asked for way more than 18 months, meaning the prosecution, and that's why I think the postponement. They asked for more than 18 months. I'm sure the judge said, why? Yeah, and now they have time to say why. So we'll see. I don't know. But I would expect probably more than 18 months, to be honest. Any update on the regulations causing Bitpanda to leave the Netherlands? So it's not about new regulations, I think, as far as I know. The Netherlands, I think it's just about them probably having a presence, under the definition of a presence by the Dutch National Bank, and without having the license in the Netherlands, and probably not wanting to pursue it, not because they can't, they obviously probably have the resources to do it, but Mika is coming, or Mika, or Micah, whatever, is coming, M-I-C-A-K-E-Y, Mika's coming, and it's coming in roughly, 2 years, a little less than 2 years, and I believe even already now, you can already start to apply in the Netherlands for a Mika license. So why apply for one if you automatically have to apply for another? It doesn't make any business sense, and I think that's the case more than anything else. Us, we have a written exemption from the Netherlands, actually. And, so in a bit of a different boat, I think. What's the realistic time frame of being able to sell XCM on the exchange? I can't answer that question because it's still speculative no matter what we do. But most of the core changes we are making will be in place before the end of this year. And then the market plays a big role. And the market I have no control over anymore, unfortunately. There was that time, like I said, I could call the guy who could press the button. But, I lost his number, unfortunately. I already changed his number. I don't remember. Any update on the CRV Reflect Tram compensation? Hey, Charlie. Nope, sorry, no update. I may actually have an update on that relatively soon because I think I will be talking to the people that were managing it and getting an update, and them getting an update from me, so kind of an update call in general. So hopefully I'll be able to touch on that for you in the next day. I think I'm going to, 2 more minutes. Did you clean Oliver's mic before using it? Well, considering I'm not putting my mouth directly on the mic, no. I didn't think I needed to clean it. I didn't know mic cleaning was a thing. Maybe that's it. Maybe I won't make it to next month's AMA then. That'd be sad. Why do you charge €3 for each withdrawal to bank card? Highest fee from top exchanges so far. Why do you charge €3 for each withdrawal to bank card? I assume you're asking about SEPA in general, I guess. But I guess what I can say high level is that we used to charge the lowest rate anywhere, literally. And when you think about what business we're in, we are literally a fiat to crypto exchange. That's our core business in reality. And we were charging less than anyone else, giving way better service. And so I think in general, when you take into account cost, all costs, trading cost, deposit withdrawal cost, and costs that people don't necessarily think about, which are related to trading or related to access, etc., i.e. you have a problem and it gets resolved in 1 day or 2 hours versus 7 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. All those things, when you take into all those, we're still by far the cheapest exchange on the planet. And I understand that might be too big of a picture to look at sometimes when you're looking at your own specific case. But I can guarantee you, if you had an issue with that withdrawal that you maybe paid €3 for, and you went to support, you're going to get a human being that's going to solve your problem, and not an AI bot that's just going to shoot you a random blog article that doesn't solve your problem, and or having to wait 2.5 weeks to potentially have someone tell you, here's 50 cents worth of, I don't know, some random token. Sorry about that. So in that respect, I think we're still kind of fighting above our weight in that sense. Perfectly said, Kevin. All right, well, thank you. I don't know what I perfectly said, but I'm glad I said something. Perfect. So last question here, guys. Are rate cuts, in your opinion, bullish? If yes, do you have an example? And you expect a new all-time high for Bitcoin, or just a distribution event into altcoins? Hey, Tobias. So quickly on this one, are rate cuts bullish? Generally speaking, yes. Why? When rates are high, people put more money into savings accounts because they can get a relatively high return for relatively low risk. When rates are low, more money goes into the stock market and into more risky investments because it doesn't make sense to leave it in a savings account. Because then the risk to reward ratio, because there's always risk, goes out of whack. So when there's 5%, 6% being paid on a savings account, would you really want to risk 100% of your money potentially for a 8% return? And that's generally the idea. So are rate cuts bullish in the long run? Yes, even for crypto. And do I have an example? That's the example. It's simple. Nothing in finance is that complicated, but people in finance always try to make shit sound complicated so they can keep their jobs. Because in general, if you ask me who's the best kind of person to ask, like if you said, oh, I want to get into investing, do you know like an advisor, the best advisor? Sure I do. You. And investment advisors on the whole are terrible, and they suck at their job, and it doesn't matter what the return is, to be honest. Anybody can do what they do, to be honest. It's not rocket science. What it is, though, is usually having to know how to sit on your hands, and that comes down to just being able to get in and get out when you need to and not putting emotion into it, and that's where most people fail. So, do I expect an all-time high? All-time high for Bitcoin? Yep, we're going to see a few more of those in history for sure, probably many more of them. Think of, as Bitcoin matures, and I don't necessarily mean that in every sense of the word, as more institutional money comes into Bitcoin, ETF, you will see less volatility and you will see more of like a NASDAQ, FTSE, CAC type market. So, an average of X% of gain per year, and no more fun stuff. And even though the Bitcoin maxis don't care about price, I guarantee you when that starts to kick in, there's no more Bitcoin Miami. How much you want to bet? Bitcoin Miami, Bitcoin Amsterdam goes away when Bitcoin goes up 6% a year on year, 8%, 10%, whatever it is, year on year, because they're not going to care. Anyway, they'll already have their Lambos and stuff, so whatever. And so I do, all-time high for Bitcoin, absolutely. In this cycle, that's the question, I guess, really. More than likely, does that mean we end the cycle, or we get to some maximum like 300K because people just take a formula and say, whoa, historically speaking, the mean, increase. No, I don't think that's the case. But yeah, we will see an all-time high at some point during the cycle, for sure. Whether it stays, that's another question. And that's probably not going to happen until later this year into late next year. That whole year gap, Q4 2024, Q4 2025, sometime in that day. But we will definitely see the same ebb and flow. Every time there's an all-time high, you will see people cashing out and going into altcoins, and you'll see altcoins mooning like crazy. And then profit going back into Bitcoin. That's never going to end. Even though it might change, it's not going to stop. Okay, there we go. I'm going to end it there. There's a lot of questions remaining. I'm sorry for taking so long to answer them. Hopefully they were good answers. Have a great Thursday and a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Over the weekend, when you're getting drunk with your friends and eating beef jerky, I don't know what you guys do. I don't know. Or having steak or on your yacht. Hopefully, the guy on his yacht, if you have a yacht, please listen to me, buy XCM. It's amazing. It's so much better than the yacht you have. You should sell the yacht. The yacht sucks, and it's killing the planet. Anyway. So have a great weekend, everybody. If you can't spend time with friends and family, I don't need to say that anymore because there's no more COVID. Or maybe there is. I don't know. Does COVID exist anymore? Anybody know? Where's the science? Anyway. So have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for coming here. Thanks for all the support. Big stuff is coming. I know I've said that a million times, but really big stuff is coming. We're only getting better. See you guys on the next AMA. And if I missed your question, at Kenvin Murcko on Telegram, make sure it's KEVIN MURCKO. There's no two E's, two I's, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't ask people for money. I don't go around and ask people to invest in shit. That's not me. If you get a Kevin that's asking for shit, tell him to send you a voice message. That's how you know it's not me. I'll always respond with a voice message, even if you hate them. Actually, if you hate them, I probably will most definitely do a voice message. And that's it for me. So thanks again, and cheers.